All right. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of the From the Farmyard podcast. And today's episode, as this will go up New Year's Eve day. So, yes. So, this episode, we're just going to kind of go over like a recap of our year, kind of what happened on our farms, and just a little story time with y'all, telling y'all some fun events that may have happened, some sad events that may have happened, just going over all things like, because this year was a crazy year. At least it was for me. It was a lot of things. But we're just gonna go over a couple things, and I think one thing we can start with, a huge one for me, is chicken keeping overall. How did that go? So I had a lot of things happen to me this year, and I'm not gonna like go crazy into detail with this, but I had a lot of health issues on my farm with a lot of my flock. I lost a lot of hens. It's a really, really difficult time for me, for my flock and stuff. I basically became a vet, I feel like. But like I said, looking back on all that happened, a huge thing for me is that I'm able to learn from it. Yes, it hurt because a lot of the hens I dealt with I couldn't save. But I was able to learn from those experiences. I treated so many things. It was insane how many things I dealt with. But I learned so much, and I'm happy that I did in that sense, because before start of this year, I basically knew nothing about chicken health. And so end of this year, I see through the summer, I just have learned so much. And now I can educate y'all. And if y'all needed help with like chicken, if you have chicken health issues, I mean, I haven't dealt with everything, but I have dealt with a lot. So just pretty cool little lesson for me that I learned this summer. But overall, I mean, how was your chicken keeping year go?
A lot of ups and a lot of downs, not gonna lie. To start off the new year this year, earlier this year, we had a hawk attack that got two of our hens and wounded another one pretty bad, so I ended up having to become a vet. That was a rough 2 weeks. She had a hole in her side underneath of her wing, and it was awful. It ended up closing up, but it was a long time there. I thought she was going to pass,
Yeah.
but she's still here, and she started laying eggs for us, I think, 3 weeks after the incident, which is fairly soon. We ended up getting having to get rid of all of our roosters.
Yeah.
The three
We had
original
that
ones.
too. We did that too.
That's how we met, actually, but we'll go into that later. um, I got rid of my roosters, the original three, and then I did a big hatch out in the beginning of the year. Hatched out 20, ended up being 10 hens and 10 roosters. I got rid of the 10 roosters, and they were for dinner. And then the 10 hens were or are still laying for us. And then just overall, my flock's grown a lot. We said that we weren't going to do anything like buy anymore, and then I ended up buying more and more
It
and more.
happens. We've said it before, chicken math. It's a real thing. You just get
Chicken
this
mac.
urge. Like you just like, man, I want those.
And once you start, it's not as simple as just stopping, because if you
For
go on
real.
Tractor Supply like on a regular basis, then you end up going like I used to go in there, I think, like every like 2 days for something, because we would like stagger feeding instead of buying
Yeah.
everything at one time. So we would go in, get a couple things, because I live like really close to them.
Yeah.
But we would go in, we'd see something, and then like 2 days later we go in there, we see something else, and we're just like keep getting and keep getting. Um, but I probably won't do that this year, and I'm not upset about that. But then they ended up giving me a lot of chicks for free this year. Not saying that Tractor Supplies will do this. I just know someone who works at mine, and they had a lot of like just deformities and things like that, or sick birds that they don't treat there. And the woman who gave them to us, she knew that their best chance wasn't going to be if they stayed there. So she
Mm-hmm.
actually, like, on her way home, dropped them by our house
Yeah.
and then went home, which none of them survived, sadly, because of um, just a lot of them were really bad, and we knew that going into it.
Mm-hmm.
They were pretty bad injuries. I mean, one didn't had crossbeak and was missing an eye, and it was I didn't think I knew none of them were gonna live, but I gave them the best chance they had. I feel like, and that's what my thing was. Even if it's just easing them into in or out of this life, I'm happy that I was able to be part of their journey, even just for a little while.
And that's something that's so cool, and that's something that I want to do. I see people like one time I was in a feed store, farm store, but they had a chick and it had splayed leg, and it's like in that moment I was like, I want to take this one chick home, but they have a limit, and I'm like you have to get a certain amount because, and it's understandable, these people that are selling chicks, they don't know if you have a flock or not, and you don't want to just take home one hen. That's not an adequate. You need a steady flock. And so at this farm store, it was 6, and I was this close to getting a whole flock just for that one chick, even though she probably wouldn't have made it. But she had splayed leg real bad, and I've never dealt with splayed leg before, so it was going to be a new experience. But I wanted to try, and I wanted to give her best shot. And I've seen people do that before with like they'll just like ask like their local farm stores like, "Hey, I have a flock and I can take home these injured, these weak chicks." And that's something that I definitely want to get into just to give them their best shot. Because I know a lot of times they just end up dead in the brooder in the areas. And it's because what is the store supposed to do? They can't really do anything for them. So that's something that I think I want to get into. And I love that uh, y'all do that. I think that's so neat.
Yeah,
So,
and then a lot of the injuries, like what you were saying with splay leg, a lot of them are curable, like splay
mm-hmm,
leg is. I mean, missing an eye or crossbeak isn't, you can't fix that, but like something like splay leg, you can fix that. But most of the times that they have a problem chick like that, they'll put them back in the back, expecting no one to buy them,
yeah,
and then it'll be a week later, if it's still alive, that they put it out on the floor because it needs to go. And by that
right,
time, it's usually too late. Within the first, I'd say, before the first 5 days, if you're not actively treating it, most of the time,
right.
something like that doesn't correct itself.
But yeah, I think that's pretty cool. We raised some a new animal on the farm this year. We got some guineas. Those didn't last very long, but we did do that. I don't like guineas. If you can keep them, if you can keep them in your yard, good on you. Tell me how you do it because I don't know for the life of me. We've had 2 batches probably or 3 batches of guineas. Can't keep them in the yard. They just fly up in the trees in the woods and they gone. They gone. So, but we're going to introduce some new animals next year. Y'all may or may not know this, but this year we built a barn, which is super awesome. I'm so excited about it because it means more animals, which like who doesn't want that? It's like so exciting. But we built a barn, and in the fall, not fall, next spring, we're hoping possibly goats. I think we're gonna get some turkeys, meat turkeys. I think we're gonna do meat turkeys, which is fun, and I think I'm gonna try ducks too. So I'm gonna try some different things, give them a shot, experiment with some new animals that I've never dealt with before. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be interesting, and I will have to keep y'all posted on how all these new animals go. And I'll have to, if I learn anything from this, I'll share it on the podcast.
Yes. I ended up getting new animals this year too. This is our second year doing meat chickens, and we added meat turkeys this year, and those grew amazing. I kept them in my greenhouse in for the first, geez, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks that they were here. And I mean, it was warm during the day, and at night it did get a little colder, so I would bring them in the house on those cold nights. But they did amazing. So definitely doing meat turkeys again. And we actually did ducks at the same time that we got turkeys. And duck math is real too, because we started with two, and then we got two more, and then I went back and they had another breed, so I got two more, and then I went back and they had another breed, and I got three more, and then I got two more. So a lot of ducks, but I'm down to 9. I had 10. No, I had more than that, but we lost one when it was little, and then we've lost two more since. But we have not 9. I have 8 ducks actually, and those are definitely going to be something that I'm working on for next year. Whether or not I do a big breeding project, I think I am. I've never hatched out ducks at all. I had eggs, but my cat knocked over the incubator and they weren't
Oh,
viable anymore. So that was
that's so
awful.
sad.
Yeah, and the eggs were even questionable about being fertilized too. But
Oh
hopefully
my
this year
gosh.
I'm able to perfect that and put them in
Yeah.
the greenhouse early on. And then I'm also hoping on doing another hatch this year with a rooster that I hatched out really late. Um, so I'm hoping on doing all of that. But the
Breeding and
last thing
hatching
with
would be so cool. I want to do that so bad.
I want to do that with my ducks, and like really bad. And I know we've talked some about this, but um, I was looking into like the genetics because I have like the blue Swedish duck,
Right, right,
which
right.
is, I mean, it's a extremely rare breed to begin with. There's only about 1,700 pairs,
Mm-hmm.
if that, and that's just like the big breeding ones. I mean, there's other ones that people have got them from, but um, those are really interesting. I was looking at like the genetics and everything. If you breed two blue Swedishes together, I thought you would get all blue Swedish because in my mind that's
Yeah.
what makes sense.
Yeah.
You get 50% blue Swedish, 25% black Swedish, and 25% splashed or silver
Wow.
Swedish. So I'm
So
really interested
what's the right concoction to make to rebreed those?
to, to get the most blue Swedish. I think it's, I'm not 100% sure on this because I was doing it while I was sick and everything, but we had, I think it's one black and one silver to get like
Yeah.
almost 100%. Maybe it's one blue and one silver, but then two blacks don't produce any silver, they produce all black. So it's really weird genetics,
Yeah.
but I'm hoping to do that. And then, yeah, I really want to do this like really bad. And then I also have
It
black
would be
tails that I
so
want to put.
cool. It'd be so cool.
It would. And then I'm actually going to end up separating them once they start laying and doing a hatch like that because I want to see what I get and about what'll come of it. But then I also want to keep that same line going. So I'm going to keep that line going as well.
Yeah.
But one more thing before I guess, unless you're done with like flock things
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
new animals, I lost my favorite hen this year, which was
Oh
really
yeah.
sad. Clara. She was named after my grandpa's mother. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure the whole thing, but I didn't meet her, so it wasn't like a sentimental. I mean, it was a family name, but not like a sentimental thing. But
Yeah.
she was the sweetest hen that I had, and
It
I
always
was,
hurts to lose a
I
hen.
know, I was
That's
so
super
upset about
special
it.
to you.
But before she stopped laying, I had put those eggs in the incubator, the 20, and I found out that she had had one last egg, and it happened to be a
Wow.
female, and I was so excited to have
That's awesome.
her. And when I breed again in like a month or two, I'm I'm gonna make sure that I have enough to breed off of her and get enough hens, where I'll probably end up doing probably 15 eggs just of hers, just in hopes to get some hens.
That's so
Um,
awesome.
just because that line is so, it's so
Yeah.
dear to my heart, because she was the best thing ever, but then her daughter took after her dad, which I don't. Her dad was wild. Her dad was wild, but it was fun. Anything else you want to add? And then
No, I don't think
before we
so.
move on,
Um,
well, I guess
after
the
yeah, after flock and stuff, a huge thing that happened to me this year was gardening. I really started because with uh all the stuff that was happening with my flock, I needed like a place to go and just like chill because I was literally so just like stressed out with all of the stuff that was just like it just felt like every day I was just getting hit with a new issue. And it was so overwhelming. I just needed a place to go and just chill. And I started really like taking gardening seriously. I would go out every day and just be in my garden for hours. Just, I mean, in the morning, I'd go out and check on all my plants, pick the vegetables. I go out in the afternoon, the evening, I'd be out there. I mean, I used to hate pulling weeds, and like this summer, I just went out to pull weeds because I just enjoyed it so much. I just went out to just sit and just breathe. But gardening was such a huge thing for me. I was able to grow so many cool things I had never tried before. I was able to uh I built my own garden. I started buying seeds for that next year so I can grow and cultivate that. And it's also it's really cool because this year I learned a lot. I've learned a lot this year. And I've taught myself how to do stuff with the help of like just like different sources, friends like yourself, that have just inspired me to just like start gardening and get serious about farming because this is what I want to do with my life. This is what I want to do. This is my future goal. I want to be a farmer. And to know all those skills now, it's such a huge accomplishment for me because later on down the road, I'm going to know how to do that stuff. And it's just going to be so much better. It's just going to be so cool. So,
yeah, and my garden has been a big part of my year. Last year we had only 2 raised beds, and I still have those, but it's a lot of bucket farming the first year, and just like trying out different things and seeing what would work. But we put in 2 raised beds. We really just did corn in them the first year, which wasn't a problem. Corn's delicious.
yeah.
And it tasted so good. But this year we actually planted 2 different rounds of corn. So I started it, I want to say the last week in March. It might have been the first week in April.
Yeah.
And it was weeks before everybody else had done theirs. And then I was harvesting a bit earlier and then started another round in the middle of the summer. And those just did really well. Still a lot of bucket farming, like with root vegetables and things. But we ended up adding on 4 extra beds, and I have an arch trellis now, which I'm a sucker for an arch trellis.
Yeah.
And we have my tomato walls, which are amazing. And you guys will be seeing way more of that
Yeah.
later this year, or next year,
And
actually,
if you
later
want to
next
see
year.
it, he has a YouTube channel. I link it in the description. You can go check out his stuff. He's posted about his garden and stuff. He's posted about his flocks, his all that stuff. If you want to check it out, like I put his channel in the description. Go
I
subscribe.
have posted, I have posted a lot about that. I did garden tours
Yeah.
it wasn't every week like I would have liked, but I did like every 2 weeks, something like that, unless I forgot a week.
Yeah.
um I tried to, but I didn't start it in the beginning, which I would have liked to, and I think that kind of like slowed my momentum down afterwards, because I was just like, I don't have like the infant stage of these.
Mm-hmm.
But the garden did amazing. Next year I'm planning on adding a lot more. I've realized where I could grow,
Exactly.
where
Yeah.
I could grow and different things. And I feel like, I mean, you don't ever stop learning as a gardener. You learn
Yeah.
the entire time, always learning something else. The weather's a little bit different every year, but you always have things that are kind of like tried and true, I guess. Like beans are pretty easy. You can grow them literally whenever. But
Exactly.
there's some things growing root vegetables. I grow mine exclusively in buckets because the soil here is really bad
Yeah.
and buckets just work easier. And then after the potatoes finish out their rounds, I do one big grand last show out for the garden, which I love. And I will fill every little pocket full of flowers and
That's
tomatoes and
awesome.
everything. And I'm hoping to really record more of that this year
Yeah.
towards the end. But just everything from the start to the end. And then just showing people how to farm or how to garden in different things. I use buckets, pools, 5 gallon or not 5 gallon, the totes, and
Hmm.
then raised beds. And that's just really what I want to do. And I got a lot of seeds last year, but I'm definitely going to be adding some more. And then I was sent some seeds by Reagan, and those I'm already planning out a grand show that hopefully are going to be amazing. That greenhouse frame right there,
Hmm.
it's gonna be good. She knows what's gonna be on it, but I'll let y'all wait.
Yeah, we're gonna try out some. I'm gonna try out some new seeds this year, stuff I've never experienced. I'm gonna try them out. It's just like with chickens, right? Right? You get chickens, and my excuse is I'm just trying out the breed to see if I like it. So that's what I'm doing with gardening too. I'm trying out different seeds to see if we like it. That's a
Yeah,
great excuse.
absolutely.
But with gardening, all the produce I was able to grow, I also learned how to canning produce and stuff, which is just storing the food. There's different ways you can store your food, but canning is a huge one for us, for my family. But I was able to uh, get a little bit more hands on with canning. I was able to do stuff on my own. So hopefully next year I'll be able to, like, you know, do a lot more stuff on my own, and just getting that hands on experience. It's so helpful. But I was able to do that. I was able to just make all sorts of stuff, and it was a fun experience. Um but along with gardening and stuff, I also have an orchard, and I was able to plant a couple trees in the orchard. So that's always nice cuz next year we'll have some new fruit to eat. We are able to eat some of the apples this year, which is awesome. The apples we grow, I'm telling you, I've never tasted apples anything like it. It was sick. But we're gonna grow some other stuff as well. So stay tuned for that. I'll have to keep y'all posted on what we grow.
Definitely, you will. Along with your orchard, I also planted my trees this year. They were in buckets. We just weren't really sure where we were going to put them because I mean I up potted them, but we weren't sure where we were going to put them at first. But then we ended up finding the perfect place, which we didn't want it to be the perfect place, but it was the perfect place. And now I have 2 plum, 1 peach, 2 pear, 2 apple, and that's it. And that was those. They're not like tiny, but they're still not mature. But once they get there, I know that they're going to provide so much food, and it's definitely an investment long term when you're planting an orchard. That's why most people tell
Yeah,
you to do the orchard first. I did the garden first, and I did the orchard last because
right.
it just you weren't sure,
That's what
and
we did
it's
too.
and you can be unsure in things. Being unsure is probably the best, not the best thing, but it's a good teacher because
Yeah,
you know, I mean, you just aren't sure about something at first, and then you end up changing your reasoning because you learn something else. So I
exactly.
was really happy last year and about everything, and I cannot wait until these trees start blooming in the spring, and maybe we'll get some fruit. Hopefully, I'm hoping we get an
Yeah.
apple. I'm really hoping we had some
Hey,
last year, but then I had to plant them,
it's
and
possible.
then I had to tear the fruit off.
It's possible because we thought it would take a couple years for our apples to produce, and I think we've only had our apple trees for 2 years, and we got a lot of apples. So it's possible.
I cannot wait. I know we're in like not the middle of winter, we're in the beginning of winter right now because winter's only been here for a couple
Right.
days, but like it's still been cold. But I want spring to be here so bad, and that's what.
Yeah.
And this is the reason I take so many pictures, because then I can look back and I can like just relish in those good memories, and just be
Yeah.
so happy about looking back at that. And then I'm already planning out things for next year, which I shouldn't be doing
Oh
because
yeah.
it's still like
Nope.
months away.
My garden is already planned out, so I do not blame you. It's already planned out. I know where I'm putting seeds. Like, that's how planned out it is. Yeah.
I don't know where I'm putting seeds. I kind of have about how many seeds I need like overall, but I definitely need to keep planning because I mean some things are going to stay the same, but other things are going to definitely change. And then I'm
Right.
growing more flowers next year because last year
Oh
was my
yeah.
first year doing this. Oh, I love zinnias so much. First time growing them. And sunflowers, oh my gosh. Sunflowers are amazing.
They're incredible.
I had one, it probably got 10 to 14 foot tall. It was
That's
so big.
insane.
And head on that sunflower was huge. I loved it.
That's insane. I like growing sunflowers. I did sunflowers this year, closer to the end of the year, but I was able to see them open up, and it was so awesome. I loved it.
I remember when you messaged me, you were so happy about the
I was
sunflower. You're
like,
like, guess what?
look at this. It opened.
You were you were so proud of that, and I think that that's what people need to start doing, because people aren't taking, or they're taking the small moments for granted. I mean, yeah, we're gonna look back and we're gonna remember the big moments, and
Yeah.
be proud of the small moments, because those small moments are what eventually leads up to a larger moment. You grew a couple sunflowers this year and saw them open up. Next year, I wouldn't be shocked if you put an entire field of sunflowers out there and just watched everything open up. I know it sounds so much like you to do that. I'm expecting a sunflower field,
You want a whole field? I got you.
a whole
Well,
field,
I
a
don't think
whole
I could
field.
do a whole field, but maybe
They have
someday.
they have 50-pound bags of sunflower seeds at Tractor Supply for $15.
I'll be out
And you
there.
can do an
I'll be out
entire
there
field
in my field, scattering my seeds.
and
That'll be
do
me.
it.
That'll be me.
I'll be here waiting, and we'll keep
Right.
everybody updated too.
Yeah. So we're coming down to the last couple minutes here. But I would have to say a huge thing for this year that happened to me. Starting this podcast, it was awesome. I love it. I love this experience that I get to have because, one, doing it with one of my best friends. That's awesome. And two, I'm talking about things I love. That's like so neat. I have an excuse to just talk about chickens. Like, I don't always have that.
Exactly.
And I hope that it's not just us talking, but that we're actually teaching y'all, because that's the main goal with this. We want to educate y'all from our own experiences. And we've said that before, but it is a huge thing for us. I want to make sure that y'all are getting the knowledge that you need. Maybe you just clicked on this video because just like, oh man, what is this? But maybe you're like, I want to learn about how to breed chickens. I want to learn how to raise meat birds and to put meat in my freezer. And we're here. If you want to ask us questions, we've said it before, you can email us, message us, comment underneath, reach out to us. We want to hear your questions. If it's something that we think like, man, this is a huge topic, we could talk about this in a podcast episode, we will. So
Yeah.
ask us questions. We want to hear your feedback. We want to be able to teach y'all things that you want to know, not just stuff like that we want to talk about. We want to be able to teach you from this. So
And I think that we have, and we've only just reached or we're at
Right.
the top of the mountain right now.
Right.
There are so many things that we
Right.
can talk about. We've really just covered chickens because it was the easiest thing and we're in the
Right.
down season and growing. But once garden season gets here,
Oh
we're
yeah.
gonna be putting out a lot of
Be
garden
ready for that.
content, and also we're not claiming to know everything.
Right.
I don't think anybody really claims to know everything, but there are things that everybody does wrong and right. And sometimes there's not even a right or a wrong. You can do it any way that you want to. Like some people grow their potatoes in the ground. And I mean,
Right.
they are right. I mean, potatoes do grow in the ground, but I use buckets because that's my right. Everybody's right is
Exactly.
different and based on just everybody's own environment. But small steps shouldn't be taken for granted. Even if that's growing one plant and keeping one plant alive or getting one cherry tomato off of your plant. It's a small step and you learned hopefully what to do and what not to do. And that's the biggest teacher of all is trial and error. And we've all failed. I've killed more plants than I know what to do with.
We've all
I've
done it.
also had a lot of yeah, and I've had a lot of my chickens die because I didn't know
Exactly.
what I was doing. So that's why we're also, and we've said this before and earlier, but we're trying to prevent the things that have happened to us because we were not knowledgeable
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
spread our knowledge on to those who were in our shoes at one point. And I think that we're able to do that. And I think that we are definitely accomplishing that,
Yeah.
even on a small scale right now. But you have to start out somewhere, and small
Exactly.
steps should not be taken for granted.
Exactly.
It's
And
my
from
little inspirational moment.
yeah. Yeah, I love that. From our wins and our losses, we've learned lessons. And there are things I wish I would have known before this summer. I could have taken precautions. But I didn't. But I know now, and if something like that happens again, I'm prepared. And that's why I want y'all to know this stuff, because this would have been important to me this summer, but I didn't know it at the time.
Yeah.
So we just want to inspire y'all to just take farming and just run with it, man. Take it into your own hands, have fun with it. Don't just think like you have to do it a certain way. Have fun with it. Farming is a whole learning process, and you grow through it, and you learn to do it in your own way. You're not going to farm
I know,
like everybody else. So,
yeah, I know somebody from Instagram, and she grows all of her fruits and vegetables on her balcony because that's what space she has available.
exactly.
Grow on your balcony, start a small indoor farm, garden, put a seed in the ground and just see where it goes.
Exactly.
It'll accomplish so much. You just need to give it some water, light, and a little bit of love.
Exactly. So, we are coming down to the last like very couple minutes here. So, I think that's everything. Do you have anything else you want to share?
No, it's been an amazing year, and I'm hoping that next year's even better. I mean, we've learned
Yeah.
from our mistakes, and we're taking everything with a grain of salt and definitely going to go.
Yes.
I might have to go buy a 50-pound bag of sunflowers, though, and just spread them over people's yards. Like,
Exactly.
everyone deserves the sunflower love.
Exactly.
So if
So,
y'all ever driving down the interstate and y'all start seeing a whole bunch of sunflowers, it was me. Just know that it was me. I would do it.
All right. Wow. I think that's pretty much everything. We hope y'all had a fantastic year, and we hope that next year is even better. Happy New Year to everybody out there. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one. See ya.
Happy New Year. Bye.